Welcome to the Catherine Sharon Zoom baking series. And we are very excited this morning and this afternoon to have the Adatto grown-up children and grandchildren leading us today in Adatto Appetizers. And first up, we're going to have Malka. So take it away, Malka.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to, oh, I'm spotlighted. We're so excited to be able to do this and share a little bit of our Shabbat enjoyment with you. I don't know how many of you know this about us, but we take challah very seriously in our family, and therefore appetizers are all of the things that accompany challah. So today we're gonna tell you a little bit about some of the things that we like to serve as part of our appetizer course on Shabbat, and I feel like especially in the last few months when we haven't been able to have as much company, we've definitely neglected this course, but really happy to bring it back. So I'm going to be making two different eggplant dishes. And the way that we're going to do it today is I'm going to start, and then I'm going to stick mine in the oven, pass the baton over to Chana, and then to Ephraim, and then we'll wrap it up together, I think, Chana and then me. So the first most important part about eggplant is picking your eggplant. So I happen to always prefer the longer and thinner ones because I find that they're less seedy and I don't like all the seeds. So that's my personal preference. And so we're going to start actually by, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my shorter one. I have two of them that I'm going to use. My first eggplant dish, I'm going to use my smaller one. And I'm just going here. There you go. Now you can see. My mom told me I was supposed to do all this ahead of time to make sure. So I'm going to just cut it in half. And this is for the eggplant and tahina dish. And so this preparation is actually very easy. I have two halves like this, and then you want to score it. So I like to just make it a little crisscrossy thingy here. And then, so I'm going to do the two crisscrosses. Here we go. I'm putting it on my baking sheet, which I'll move closer so you can see. And it's just a regular baking sheet. I covered it with tinfoil. I have my fancy schmancy olive oil thing. This is a new purchase. I recommend it. You can get it at Target. It has a little thing and it controls the flow of the olive oil. And I strongly recommend it. I think that it helps out a lot. Pour your olive oil on top. I think I gave a measurement, but honestly, I made it up. You just pour some on top. You take your kosher salt. You sprinkle. And this is going in the oven. We'll see you in half an hour. It's going on a very hot oven. Because you want it to get nice and brown. It's going on so at 450 degrees. So that's the first one. And that will be for our eggplant and tahina. And we will do that. I see that there are comments coming in. Rabbi Hassan, if there's anything that I should be answering, you could let me know. But if not, I'm just gonna keep on going. So the second dish we're gonna get ready to make is the marinated eggplant. And we're gonna eventually marinate it in like a balsamic vinegar, olive oil, garlic dressing. But first what we need to do is prepare the actual eggplant rounds. So I'm just gonna spray a baking sheet. I'm going to cut the eggplant into rounds like this thick. But if it's a little thicker, a little thinner, it's gonna be fine. And then, so it'll just take me a second. The other thing my mom told me is that I should prepare things to tell you about. So my family, we lived in Seattle for the first 6 years as grown-ups. And now we live in Silver Spring. And Danny is, for those of you who don't know, Danny's my husband. He works at Microsoft. And until the world of Corona, was still traveling twice a month back to Seattle and got to enjoy some delicious bamboo garden and teapot along the way. But I heard Bamboo Garden has closed since then. And I am the principal of Berman Hebrew Academy here in Maryland. And Ami just turned 9. He's our oldest. And Shira is 6.5, as she would like to tell you. And she was in quarantine for our entire winter break. And our winter break just ended. Today's our last day. And she just came out of quarantine. So we had a stay-at-home vacation. Okay, so now I have my whole eggplant is cut. I'm just gonna lay it down onto my baking sheet. Again, I sprayed my baking sheet with Pam. Hannah, you're gonna be up in like 1 minute. So just giving you a heads up. I would say that usually if I was making this for guests, I would likely have maybe I would probably double this, and so I would use 2 eggplants, but since I'm just, you know, making it for me, because nobody else in my family likes eggplant, then that's that. So for this, I don't actually use olive oil. I just am gonna spray it with a little bit of ham, a little bit of kosher salt to sprinkle on top, to take out some of the bitterness. And I'm gonna actually show you. So this, again, remember I mentioned earlier that this is a longer and thinner one. There are very few seeds in here, as opposed to the fatter ones are full of seeds. This is gonna go in my other oven, and we will see this grind in about 20 minutes. Okay, Franz, you're up.
Hi, friends. Thanks, Molka. So that's a tough act to follow. We've got here, you know, it was supposed to be just, oh, well, this is not convenient.
Here, okay?
It was supposed to be just the Adatto family, but then I recruited some family members from the Shefa family. This is Yonatan.
Hello.
And Nestia. Nestia's my 4.5-year-old, and we've got another one sleeping conveniently right now. Nestie. So we're going to be making hummus today and pita chips. And similar to what Molka shared, the challah course is really the challah course. It is a challah course. Yes, it is. And
it is a dip course.
It's a dip course.
Challah and dip course.
And this was something that actually became popularized in the Shefa home. When I became part of Yonatan's family, I realized that before gefilte fish, there is a whole new course of its own where there is homemade hummus.
We don't do gefilte fish.
Nope, I know.
This is Sparty cooking class.
Whatever. Lots of dips and homemade dips and different salatim that we have. And it soon became a staple in our home as well. And hummus became our favorite one. It's one that when we go to people's homes, we bring it with us. We offer it to bring it with us. And we really love. So we're actually going to start with pita chips because they take, you know, they take the longest, which is 10 minutes. And then we'll start our hummus and then head over to fry and then hop back on over here. So I have about 4 nice sized pitas. If you live in Teaneck, holler out here. Cedar Market has the best homemade pitas. Find out when they're fresh and just go on over there, and they're amazing and they're very cheap. So we've got some pitas here. You can do 4, you can do 6. And I'm just gonna slice them all together right here on the plate. I'm gonna cut it just like a pizza, kind of like in 6. I've got them in halves here. Are you ready for your job in a second? Okay. I've got them in quarters. And you can keep them, you know what, I might just keep them in quarters right now. Okay, so here are my quarters. They're this size. You can cut them smaller. You can cut them bigger, but I'm not, you know, they're the full pita here. I'm gonna take them over here. You wanna bring the computer? And I'm gonna just put them on this pan over here. My lovely sous chef, Nestia, is going to, we've got here about a 1/2 cup of olive oil with a parve brush. We're doing all this parve, so we can have it on Shabbat, fleischiks or dairy, depending on which home we're gonna be in. Scattering this over here, and then Nestia is going to take this brush. She's gonna brush all of the pitas. Go for it, sweetie, you got it? Yep, just like that, perfect. This is what they teach them here in the 4N and pre-K. And while she's doing that, or after she's gonna do that, I'm just gonna sprinkle it with some salt and pepper. And then it's up to you whatever you want after that. You can do garlic if that's your jam. Za'atar is a delicious one to add on to it if you have, what else would you add besides for that? That's kind of like paprika? No. Okay.
I wouldn't do paprika.
Not paprika. Okay.
Some sumac.
Sumac, so like Israeli
topping.
spices. There's really no wrong way, I guess, unless you did like barbecue spices, that would not taste so good, like on the Israeli realm. So Nessi's gonna keep going with this. I'll just do a quick sprinkle while she's there. You can use.
You can do these ones.
Oh, thanks. You can use any kind of salt. Sometimes we have kosher salt. This is just table salt. I'm just gonna sprinkle it on over here. You're doing a great job, kiddo. And some pepper. This is just a light hand. Obviously, you know, depending on how you like things to be salted and peppered. Nice job, kiddo. And then she's gonna turn them over and do the other side as well. I probably won't salt and pepper the other side just because that might be too much for me personally, but that's a personal taste situation. Nice, you got 2 more. There you go. And then the last one. Okay, now I'm gonna turn these over.
Wait.
You're gonna keep one? Oh, yeah, this, maybe do that one. Nestie's gonna keep going on the other side. And what I wanna share with you is that we're gonna put this in the oven. I forgot to preheat it, silly me. And these are going to bake between, yeah, flip it over, you can use your hands, flip it over. These are gonna bake 8 to 10 minutes. This is one of those things where you don't wanna burn. If you burn it, they're really not tasty. That's just how it is. So I'm gonna set my timer for 8 minutes, putting it in at 400. And after 8 minutes, I'm gonna check it. It'll probably be ready. You just want it to be like firm. So Nessia is working on this, and we are going to start with part 1 of the hummus. I'm gonna let Yonatan jump in.
Oh,
Okay. This is where it gets loud, guys.
just
Before you guys came, we did a few things to prep for this. Yonatan took the 2 cans of Goya chickpeas. Yeah, you can do it with oil, please. Yep, you got it. This is our favorite brand of canned chickpeas. Yonatan's going to talk about the more paczki way. How do you say paczki in Ladino? Not sure. Okay, I don't know, I just got paczki. The more paczki way of doing it it tastes better, but like it takes an extra 12 hours. So I don't do that. But we strained this in a strainer, washed it off a little bit. We do not shell these. Like we don't care about the outside, can just come straight into here. We don't care about that at all. You just want it to not have like the film on it. And we also got our onions ready, lemons ready, and some garlic so that we could get right in with this, okay? So Yonatan's gonna get started. Go for it.
all right. Well, after she bashed my way of making hummus, let me just state for the record that using dry, fresh chickpeas is the way to go. It is not that paczki. You just pick up a bag of the dry chickpeas from any supermarket. You just soak them overnight in water. Nothing more to that. Cover them with water, leave them overnight, forget it. And then the next day when you're ready to make your, here's a bag of garbanzo beans for show you what it looks like. The next day, just throw them in with some, throw them into a pot with about a couple tablespoons of baking soda. Just mix it in the pot dry for about 2 minutes, and then cover them with water, let them boil for about 20 to 30 minutes until they're soft but not too mushy. If you pick up the chickpea out of the pot and you give it a little squeeze and it feels tender and you know swishes it a bit in your hand, then it's ready to go. Really only takes about 20 minutes total. No big deal. But technically the easiest way is take the canned chickpeas, like we said, and in a pinch it works. It's easy. You just grab the canned chickpeas. Like Hannah said, these are drained to get some of that can taste off. And we're just going to dump them into our food processor here. And then I will let you into my secret of hummus, whether you're doing canned or you're doing fresh chickpeas. You put them in the food processor, you turn it on, and you just let it go. I let it go for at least 5 minutes. Sometimes up to 10 minutes. And while that goes, we'll cut it to fry. So fry, you're up in 1 second. But you really, you can't over do the chickpeas here.
And we've got the S blade in the bottom of our food processor. This is not a fancy food processor.
It is not, which means it's very loud.
Which is why we're cutting over to fry. Some people have said that they've been able to make this like in a Vitamix type of a thing. We haven't done that. But I know people have done it more like a blender. The idea is like, you want to let this go as much as you possibly can to get it really creamy and really smooth. You're up, Fry.
All right, hello everybody. As my dad would probably say, let's start off with a little song. Wonderful. Anyways, hi everybody, I'm Ephraim. Nice to meet you all if I haven't met you yet. We are going to be doing something that I picked up in Israel when I was there. It's called Arak Limonada. Basically, it's their version of, you go to 7-Eleven and you get a lemonade kind of minty, slushy, and then you add a little arak in there because why not, right? So what we're gonna first go ahead and do, and I've been preheating this already, what we are going to do is we're gonna take half a cup of sugar or more, depending on how you like it, and we're gonna mix it with 1 cup of water over medium heat. So the 1 cup of water has already been boiling. We are going to take the sugar, and the great thing about Jewish cooking is these serving sizes are really optional. You know, you just bada bing, bada boom, do what you gotta do. So we're gonna do half a cup of sugar right over here. Turn that up a little bit, and what we wanna do is stir this around a little bit until the sugar is fully dissolved. And this takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. And then what you're gonna go ahead and wanna do is let it cool down a little bit. But for these Zoom purposes, we're gonna kind of speed things up a little bit. While we wait for this to boil, while we wait for this to boil again and kind of dissolve, I have prepared for you some fun facts about arak. Number 1, the word arak comes from an Arabic word, arak, right, which means perspiration, like to sweat. Number 2 is arak, or arak with a Q in Arabic, is a unsweetened distilled spirit, usually 40 to 60% alcohol, and it is delicious. And it comes from the anise family, okay? Number 3 is arak is traditionally made up of only 2 ingredients, which is grape and the seeds from the anise, anise seeds, however you want to pronounce it. And these are from the anise plant, and when crushed, their oil provides arak, which has that slight licorice taste that comes to it. Number 4, and these are all true facts. Arak is said to reduce symptoms for sinus infections, nausea, the common cold, a mild stomachache, whatever you feel like, right? All you gotta do is you dip a little towel in there, put it here, put it here, put it here, do a little dance, cured. Number 4 is, legend has it that arak even has ties to the opera. Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro, right, really is pronounced fig arak, like from Zachlawi, the fig arak. But what happens is when you're a few shots deep and you say fig arak so many times, it sounds like Figaro. So Figaro, 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 and then all of a sudden it just gets lost in translation. Number 6, as we kind of touched on before, staying on that musical theme, many Sephardi alcohol enthusiasts even made a song about it, just like the one that we heard before. Okay, and this song is basically talking about the literal translation. Well, it goes, La vida do por el raqui. No puedo no dejarlo, no beber nunca me hartí. I already had too much arak already this morning. So what it means is I give my life for raki. I can't leave it alone. I never have enough of it because I love it so. So those are my fun facts about arak. Our sugar water is ready to go. So now what we're going to go ahead and do, and this is where the fun comes in. What we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to take, let me go up here again to the recipe, okay? After the sugar is done, we're now going to take all the recipes that we need. Now I have here almost 1 cup of lemon juice, and we're going to cut 1 more. I have here some fresh mint that is chopped up, and what I did, as opposed to taking the full leaves and putting it in the blender, what I did is I pre-cut it to make it a little bit smoother and a little bit easier to blend. This way you kind of have less stuck in your teeth, and it's a lot easier to go. So first what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to get 3 cups of ice. The recipe calls for 3.5, so do it as you will. And if anybody else has some more fun facts about arak, please put them in the comment box. We love to hear true, 100% true facts about arak, even if some people don't believe it. Okay? And what you can do, you can always add more ice later on. Okay, so I put 2, we'll do 2.5 for today. And we can always add on a little bit. Okay. We got our ice. Now what we have to do is we take the sugar water, which is still cooling down, the fresh lemon juice, so we have almost 1 cup of lemon juice here, and we will cut the last one, and it's preferably better to cut fresh lemons as opposed to, you know, the regular lemon juice, and make sure you watch out for bits. That just fell in there. Okay. Almost done. Fun story actually about lemon juice. Back in the day when my mom was, I don't know exactly if she was already married, but she was cooking with my grandmother, Malka Adatto Appetizers, and basically she had this huge bowl of murky water, and she said, "Well, I'm going to be a great daughter-in-law. I'm going to take this bowl of murky water and throw it in the sink so I can get started on the dishes." This murky water happened to be a lot of lemons, and that went over well. And we are still here today. So we have here our lemons, right? We are going to pour the lemon juice in. Bada bing, bada boom, right? Fresh lemons. Okay, we're going to take the mint, pour it in here as well. And then we are going to take the somewhat cool water and pour it in here. And since we did that, we added a little bit more. Now, the most important ingredient of all, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. We got the mint, arak is coming up, ice, lemons, water, good to go. Okay. So now we have to put in arak. And for me, you can choose whatever kind of arak you like. This is the classic Ashkelon one. This is one that I actually just discovered at Total Wine. We actually used it last week when I was in Seattle. It was delicious, but for these purposes, we will stick with the traditional arak. So we're going to pour in. The recipe technically calls for, you know, let's see here, half a cup of arak. Actually, I'm sorry, it really calls for a quarter cup, but we rounded up to half a cup here because it's 1:30 here in Miami, and why not? So bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Pour that sucker in over there. And then what you want to do is just blend it. And so basically we just ended up using about 2.5 cups of ice, depending on how slushy you like it, depending on certain things. You know, you add, subtract. Once again, measurements are just a suggestion. Now, once it is fully ground up over here, take a look, inspect. How does it look? My opinion, it needs a little more ice. So take a handful of ice, bada bing, bada boom. Up a little bit more. smells delicious. Now what you want to do is you take preferably a cold glass, but once again, just a suggestion, make sure it looks good. And another thing that you're going to want to watch out for is after you leave this alone, the waters will separate and I believe the ice will float to the top and some of the lemon juice will stay on the bottom. So just keep making sure to drink it. Just like Mama made it. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right. Well, from Miami back to Tina, my timer just went off, and I'm going to take out my pizza chips, and these look lovely. What I want you guys to see, careful, is that, oh, okay, these are like you can hear that, right? They're like a little bit harder. They've got some nice golden on the edges, but they're still soft. So these are going to be perfect to, you know, in addition to challah, you always got to have a few kinds of breads at your dinner. So this is going to be great to garnish or to use with our, while you guys were away, this guy was on the entire time, and it's like hot. Can you guys feel it? It's like,
I don't think I can feel it.
you can't feel it. It's warm. Okay, it's warm. And we tried to get it as creamy as we possibly could. I think you put in lemon juice already.
I put in lemon juice.
This is the, hold on. This is the Sephardic part of this evening, is that there is a lot of lemon in here. When Jonathan and I are trying to figure out, like, okay, what does our hummus need? I'm always like, more lemon, and he's like, more olive oil. And hopefully we went more on the lemon side today. So he like really squashed these lemons like really good. Like my Nona would be proud. And that's all that's in here right now. Hummus and lemon juice. You're up.
Chickpeas and lemon juice.
Chickpeas.
Well, I guess there are technically
Yeah.
some. So like she said, we had this going for a long time. And what'll happen sometime is the chickpeas will start to ride up the side. And so you might just need to open it up as it goes and take something and push down the sides to make sure it all gets to the bottom of the food processor, which I did a couple times. And then, like she said, I added the lemon juice because it was getting particularly clumpy on the side. So I added the lemon juice to kind of just get it all incorporated and nice and creamy. So just to show you it already, it's looking like hummus already. It's nice and smooth. I should add, some people like their hummus a little bit more on the chunky side. If that's your taste,
Don't invite us over.
Don't leave it in the food processor for as long. But I like it super nice and creamy. So we have the chickpeas here with, like we said, we put the lemons while you were gone. And then we're pretty much going to add the rest of the ingredients and just let it go for another minute. So next up we have tahina. This is our go-to tahina. It's the Barak tahina from Hadar.
It's 100% tahina. Like there's nothing else in it. It wasn't mixed already with water or lemon juice or anything. It is just,
yes,
it is
that's
just
important
sesame
because
seeds.
you'll find tahina in the supermarket that looks just like this.
Especially
in pretty much the
Seattle.
same exact container, but it's the tahina that you would serve. You know, when you talk about tahina that you put in your falafel or shawarma, that's already that's this plus, like Hannah said, some water, some garlic, some lemon juice. So this is just the 100% natural tahina, which also means it needs to be mixed really well. Because
like natural peanut butter, the bottom is going to be really heavy and the top is going to be very watery. If you just pour from the top, you're going to get the watery stuff, and in your hummus is not going to be as good. So we actually let it like sit upside down before we started together, and just to kind of get it going. And then Yonatan is like really using some elbow grease and mixing up here. Somebody asked, can you put the camera on the speaker? Can you not hear us? Yes, no, I hope so. No? Yeah, can somebody else give me a thumbs up? Fry, yeah, you can see me. Okay, great. We can speak louder if you need us to. So we got to give this a really good mix. You'll feel it on the bottom, and almost every 100% tahina will have this. It's the same kind of congealing. So mixing it really good to get it going. And this is the part where, you know, we put some quantities on the recipe, but this is where you're gonna want to, like, you know, do it according to your taste. So this guy, Yontan's gonna put in about half of it, okay, which whatever we wrote on the website, on the recipe is what it is. But some people like it more tahini or less tahini. So, you know, we put it in and then we taste it and then go from there, to depending on how much you, what your taste is like.
All right, so this is nice and mixed, it seems. I don't feel any of the hard stuff on the bottom anymore, or not very much of it. So like she said, I put about half of this container in. I just go and eyeball it. I'm just gonna pour it right in there. That looks about right. We'll start with that. We already have the lemon juice in there.
Garlic.
We're gonna add our garlic.
So,
we've got
yeah, this is about
3 cloves.
about
of
3
garlic.
cloves. It's also, if you're Jeannie Myman, it's about 2 inches wide, 1 inch wide, if you're looking for measurements. Just right for all of the nonas. Olive oil.
Then we're gonna add some olive oil. Again, just eyeball it, you know. You can never have too much olive oil, especially in Mediterranean cooking.
And we're gonna put more olive oil
That's my
on it
thought
as we
process.
garnish it. There's lots of olive oil, so it's healthy for you, they say.
Can you remind us the name of the tahina again?
Yeah, I'll show you.
This is not a paid advertisement. I
It's
should
not.
say. My lawyers are telling me I have to say that.
Hadar by Barak.
Let's share screen. What's that? That's up.
If you have something else.
I think somebody else's. That's true. So this is our favorite one. There's also a good Trader Joe's one that we use sometimes. Are you gonna do it? Turn it on.
I will, as soon as you're.
Okay. So, for some reason, this is just like the one that we've used and we always really like, but you know, as long as it's 100%, it'll be good enough. It's going to be really loud. So, get like 10 seconds of really loud. Okay. Or I could just mute myself. Hold on, go for it.
Also, the alternative is you get yourself a better food processor.
That's true.
Super silent.
We almost went to go get Malkaz from Silver Spring because it's a lot quieter than ours is. Okay, here we go. Ready,
Here we go.
everybody? Okay, 10 seconds. That
All
was
right, that is nice and incorporated. Is there a way to get the camera in here so that they could see? Now you'll see, if you could, it's, oops, don't want to get the plastic in there. That would not taste very good. It's going to be, at this point, very thick, especially if you put in a lot of tahina like I do. Tahina kind of really thickens up as it mixes. So this is thicker than you want, which is where the tasting comes. So you might want to give it a taste now. If you do want more lemon, that's something that's going to
the answer is yes.
make
Always more lemon.
make it smoother and get it back to the consistency we want. I'm gonna actually just go ahead and give it a taste. It's actually warm at this point because it's been mixing for so long. It's tasting delicious. I think it has a fine enough lemon concentration at this
I would
point.
put in at least another
Fana-
entire
Fana
lemon.
would probably differ. Oh, salt.
Salt.
So we'll just add, again, we're just gonna eyeball some salt. Not too much, it doesn't need a lot. And so what you wanna do is once you've tasted it and you think the taste profile is where you want it to be, you are going to get your ice water. And this is going to pretty much just get it down to the proper texture you want. And it's important to note that however liquidy or thick the tahina, the hummus is now, it's going to congeal a bit, especially if you're going to put it in the fridge and not serve it straight out of the food processor. So you want to aim for a little bit thinner than you'd want it when you're going to serve it. So I'm just going to get this back on, not too much, and kind of just pour a little bit in, turn it on,
I'm gonna pulse it a little bit.
watch it, kind of watch it as it mixes. You'll see it'll thin up very quickly. I'm just going to turn this on again. My apologies. And I'm going to pour as I go.
You should know there's a great feature of Zoom that when you start making those noises, we can't hear you.
We weren't talking.
We weren't talking that one.
Okay, but I'm saying it's funny, we don't hear the blender. When you say the blender starts and then it goes quiet.
That is strange.
The
At least on
magic,
my computer.
That doesn't happen over here.
So what's really nice about this is that hummus is one of these things where, obviously the first time you make it, it takes some time and practice, but this is something that is like a 10-minute start to finish. It is much cheaper than buying sabra at the grocery store.
much better.
And also really tasty. 2 cans will get us like through Sudash Lishit on Shabbat. Like you can have 3 meals with lots of guests, as many as the Adatto family had growing up, and you will still have more. So it really does make quite, here, Doctor, I forgot this already, quite a lot of hummus. So we're basically done with the hummus, and here's the best part is the plating. Yontan's gonna plate it, but here's where there's a lot of versatility here. Sometimes on a Friday night, if we're having guests or we want to have something extra, we will just saute, brown some meat on the stovetop with some cumin and salt and pepper, and put that on top, and then we'll have hummus basar on top. Sometimes we will saute mushrooms and onions and just put mushrooms and onions on top, and then you get to dunk that whole thing with it. We'll put a plate like this size. This is our, like a dessert, like a salad size plate. Put a few on the table and kind of, this is so not COVID friendly, but like have everybody can dunk or dip in there, or they can scoop it onto their plate. But very basic and traditionally, we'll put it on the plate. Yontan's gonna scoop out some of the middle to make like a well for olive oil. And then what goes after that is, again, really what you're in the mood for. So sometimes we'll put, we have some parsley here. Sometimes we'll reserve some of the chickpeas. You can choose chickpeas and parsley. You can pour on top some sumac, some za'atar, just garnish it a little bit. And it ends up looking really beautiful and also really, really flavorful. So again, the olive oil is the extra garnish on here. Do you have a spoon?
I'll use this.
Okay, fine.
While we're at it. It's already dirty. All right, so you're just gonna go slop it on.
What do you want? You want a za'atar? You want sumac?
I actually like paprika. Paprika is my go-to. Just slop right there, and then you're just going to come around. Like Hannah said, you want it to kind of rise along the outside of the plate. You'll have a little point in the middle. Could even take a little bit more hummus on the plate. Let's see if I could get in there for the shot. You could use a spoon. I happen to be using a cake froster. Use what you got.
All right, show 'em. You guys see, like, there's like this, like, I don't know, kind of looks like a Mexican hat. I don't know. I'm not sure.
And then we're just going to, again, you can never have too much olive oil. Just drizzle it into that nice little well we've made.
Angle it down so I can see. We can't find paprika, but here's sumac. For those of you guys who are not familiar, this is kind of like an Israeli like tangy spice. It is kind of similar to paprika, but it's got like a little bit of a tangier flavor. It's not super strong, but delicious. We put it often on these types of things. We cook with it, bake with it, not baking, cooking. But again, a lot of like Mediterranean cooking goes on it. Do you want to do this? Should I do it?
I'll do it, or you could do it. Either way.
I'll do it. All right, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna like sprinkle around the edges over here. You can see it's like kind of on the outside, a little bit on the inside, not really where the olive oil is. Yontan's got some parsley, maybe like a 1/4 cup or 1/2 cup of parsley. And
just cut up some parsley, kind of just garnish it around the outside. And voila, go in for the money shot. There is our homemade hummus.
all right, we already washed. We just had bagels before this, so we'll not even gonna make a new bracha on this, but we will enjoy this with our homemade pizza chips. Have some hummus.
Were there any more questions, Rabbi
This
Yasser?
is delicious. This is all delicious. This is very good.
We want
right.
to taste. We want to taste test. This is killing us. It's terrible.
Well,
This is
come to
great.
Teen-
This is really
well,
great.
okay.
Teaneck, there will be hummus for you. It's a
Open
guarantee.
house. Open house. Get your vaccine. You can come on over anytime.
Uh,
All right, over to you, Malka. Thanks. I'm talking about
Can you tell me the brand of the pita bread?
It's from a grocery store in Teaneck called Cedar Market.
Oh, Cedar Market. Okay.
Yeah.
But any pita you find, you
Any
get.
pizza will find, especially because you're baking it a little bit with olive oil. So even if it's going, sometimes when my pizza bread is going a little bit, it's getting a little bit old, you can revamp it by turning them into pizza chips. You'll just cook it a little bit less time because they're already a little bit hard. Add some olive oil, some salt and pepper, garlic, whatever you want. And that's that. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Malka.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up the 2 eggplant dishes that I made. So I'm going to start by just showing you. So this is the eggplant rounds. You'll see that they are like a nice brownish color, but not burnt. They took about 15 minutes to cook, and I'm going to start with that. So the idea is that you want to make a marinade. I'm going to cheat and use garlic cubes, frozen garlic cubes and frozen basil cubes. You're welcome to use regular. If you're going to do it, make sure you chop it thin. You could throw it in a blender to make it finer. I'm going to I let them defrost for a second already so that I would be able to smush it up. I'm going to smush it up in here. Okay, they're all nice and smushed. I'm going to take some balsamic vinegar. Again, this is going to be very precise measurements a la Yonatan. And I'm going to pour some in here. So we're going to precise measure of like 5 seconds of pouring. And then also some olive oil. I'm not going to put any more salt and pepper in here because there's already quite a bit of salt that I sprinkled on the eggplant. And so I don't want it to do that. I smushed it up. It's all nice and, let's see here. There we go. A little dressing here. It's all mixed up. It's almost like a little salad dressing. I am going to use a Ziploc container. I'm going to put in all of my eggplant. All of the rounds can go in. And the great thing about this is that it gets better over time because it gets to marinate a little bit more. I like to marinate it for at least 24 hours before I serve it, but I'm going to serve it in about 3 minutes, so that's not going to happen. I am going to put the top on the container. This is a very precise shaking motion. And here is going to be the marinated eggplant. I'll let it sit for a few minutes. Well, we come over to the other eggplant. So the other eggplant took about 30 minutes or so, 25 minutes to cook on a very high heat. This is what it's going to look like. So you want it to be nice and brown. If I had a little bit more time, I probably would have left it in for a bit longer. And what we're going to do is, I'm trying not to burn myself. And we are going to plate this. So it's already cooked, and I'm going to just slice it into little strips like this. If you're having a lot of company, you may have wanted to make more than one small eggplant, but I'm not right now. And you are gonna do that. And I'm putting it on my platter. And then I'm gonna make, a little napkin. I'm gonna make a little bit of tahina. So I actually use the Yehuda brand of tahina today. And I'm just gonna dilute it a bit. Again, we like a lot of lemon in our family. So I poured some in my bowl over here. I'm gonna add a little bit of lemon. You can also add a garlic cube or two or a clove of garlic minced. But I'm not gonna do that today, right now. Mix it up. So here's what I have. I have my eggplant on my platter. I'm going to take some tahina. You could use whatever brand you want. And I'm going to drizzle it on top. And I will serve, when I serve this, I'll put the extra tahina in a bowl with probably with a little bit of paprika on top. I'm going to, this is fresh basil. I'm going to chop this up. This is because my dad specifically asked that anything I make have extra basil in it. So I made sure that I went this morning to Trader Joe's. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of basil on top. Sometimes I even make my own pesto. We could have that be the next class. I'm happy to make pesto for then. And then, so here is our eggplant with tahina. Ooh, it's sliding down on my plate. And now I have these cute little forks to go in it. And I'm going to plate the other eggplant that's been marinating for, flash forward, 24 hours. Right here. So this is the eggplant. I'll put some in my little bowl. And we're almost ready to have our appetizer course. We have hummus, maybe with some meat. Here you go. Eggplant, marinated eggplant with balsamic vinegar, olive oil, garlic, and basil. And then we have eggplant with tahina garnished with a little bit of basil on top as well. Get the theme. We like basil. And I saw a question come up a minute ago about the Adatto family. So the Adatto family is a native Seattle family, but my parents have 4 kids, and unfortunately none of us are living in Seattle right now. Our oldest brother is in Toronto, and then I live in Silver Spring, Maryland. Chana is in Teaneck, and Ephraim is in Florida. So we're all up the East Coast, but while we are physically on the East Coast, our heart is always in Seattle. Especially on Shabbat. So thank you so much for allowing us to share a little bit of our food with you. Chana, do you have anything you want to add? Ephraim, we're good to go. Ephraim's still drinking over there.
Thanks, Mocha.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Adatto siblings. That was amazing. And if you missed anything, we're going to be putting all this on our YouTube channel, and you'll be, if anyone was having problems being able to see properly on the YouTube, everything will show out properly with the spotlights. So thank you very much, and thank you once again for joining us, and look to our channel for all our Zoom baking sessions.